welcome back to another Just Saying. If you joined me at the last minute of the last video, you will have joined a fun game called Jessica Tells You an Emoji to put in the comments to prove you hit the last minute. Now that is no longer a secret, but if you meet me at the end of this video, well, listen to me though, don't skip. You can play too. It's not the most fun, but it you know what, it is realistic. You know what's not realistic? Some are video games, and they're way better than the realistic ones. But Jessica, you're wearing the same shirt as the last video where you spent 50 minutes, sorry Dan, he cut it down for you, talking about why realism in games is so good and how it's so revolutionary in fixing the RPG genre. Yeah, I did. And today, later, 1 hour later, it sucks. Things can be two things. I know. Let's get into it though. So why does realism in games suck? Well, realism in real life sucks too. So of course, I do stand by the things I said in the last video. I think it's compelling. I love the complexity. I think a lot of the beauty of video games is them being challenging, whether that component is a challenge in combat, a challenge in a certain system, having to prove mastery. And I do love that games are returning to that, to becoming unapologetically difficult again, in whatever form that may take. It's also less fun. Look, it can be more fun, it can be more satisfying, more realistic, enjoyable, very cool for the medium when we see more realism in games, when we see more complexity, when we see mechanics that are not even easy to learn, hard to master. Hard to learn, hard to master. But much like the video I did where I was saying sometimes you just want like a popcorn game or like a nice 7 out of 10. Just kick back with a Sims or a Call of Duty or whatever, because sometimes it's just nice to play a game where you can just rattle through things and it doesn't really matter, where you're not going to get dinged for your morality or the things you decide to do in the game. You don't have to make difficult decisions that will forever change the way certain characters treat you, look at you, or if they will just completely leave your party because you said something to them that was arguably way funnier than the thing that would have made them happy, because you should be able to just say something just because it's funny. That is my personality in one sentence. There's a time and place, but I think there's also a beauty in a lack of realism. I think this was really exemplified for me in 2 games, Starfield and Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones is great because realism doesn't matter. Stealth doesn't really matter. People can't necessarily hear you. When they do, it's the classic, and I brought this up in the last video. Huh? Must be nothing. Beautiful. Starfield even more so. Now technically you are wearing camouflage, which is what I'm specifically talking about when this works. But Starfield has that classic thing that Bethesda games have been doing for ages, particularly Elder Scrolls, where you crouch down, you're invisible. Well done. When I started Starfield, I put it down for about a year, and then I played 160 hours, and now I've put it down again to play some other stuff, but I'm still completely nowhere in terms of getting into that main campaign. But what I loved about when I started is what brought me right back to playing Oblivion, which of course you probably know about, the famous and infamous throwing a bucket over a merchant's head and emptying out everything in their room, or rather the prison guards as well, and getting all the cool crap out of the chests there. There's a really enjoyable moment in Starfield that just exemplifies the beauty of that. You head into a store. You don't even actually have to have camo on. Camo is just fun because you can do it in front of someone's face. You just get down, take all the things off the counter, get up and go on with your life. And I just have to say, that's fun. It just is. It's fun. Is it realistic? No. And I think by similar token, as I was saying in the last video about Assassin's Creed Shadows, there is this move away from the arcadey style, do whatever you want, and towards realism. AI is smart now. I've said it for a couple of videos, so I won't drill you through it again. But what I want to do is do a caveat right now, saying, of course it's more satisfying. Of course it's less fun for me. I liked in Mirage where you sort of get like, I think it's like a little bit superhuman. You have a button, you can just like pew, 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 pew. You get to a certain point with a certain perk, and you can just like run through backstabbing 4 guys all at the same time because you like activate this thing. It's awesome. I think when it really sets in that it's awesome is when you just wanna engage on that level. You're very specifically not playing Alien Isolation. You're not picking up Elden Ring. You just want to have a little bit of a old school, classic, cheesy RPG time. I think there's a time and place for the realistic games and the unrealistic games in terms of their gameplay mechanics is basically what I'm saying. But I think something needs to be said, especially not just for thievery, although we should talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2's thievery, where they remember everything. Oh my gosh, talk about the opposite of a guy whose store has just been emptied being like, and how are you today? What can I do for you? These guys, you take like one little hat out of their bloody house, you take like a bread roll, and then they're just like, what's happened here? We gotta check all the chests. That guy Henry was here 2 days ago. He must have done it. Now I can't get into the blacksmith anymore because I took like 4 herbs, and like, who cares? Like 3 groschen. This is why thieving's not worth it in that game, and it's not worth it in real life because the price you pay is way worse than the things you get out of it. But going back to Assassin's Creed Shadows, it's really fun to do the arcadey style thing, but I also find it really fun to be overpowered. And I think that is a very specific acquired taste thing in video games. I know a lot of people, especially lately, enjoy the complexity, enjoy coming up against walls and things being properly challenging from end to end. Personally, now I'm a huge completionist, so I always hit a point in RPGs. I did so in Cyberpunk. Starfield's getting there, although I'll probably finish that when it's the heat death of the universe at this point. Always got there in Elder Scrolls games where, because I would do absolutely everything it was possible to do, and I play really slowly doing everything, I always end up overpowered. And I'd play these games on stream, and inevitably people would say certain tips would prop up saying, why don't you make the difficulty higher? Because then, like Witcher, the build mutation bits and pieces will be relevant. Why don't you up the difficulty so combat's hard again? And I'm like, no, I earned being the toughest dude out. In Valhalla, I started that game and you suck. You suck. You can't do anything. I forget every time how difficult the start of an AC RPG is when you haven't built your character or got any good stuff. Because then you're playing at that level where you do not have anything to bring to the table apart from you, the basic mechanics you have access to at the start, and how skillful you are at them. Yeah, and I think for that game, when I put 200 hours in and I get 500 skill level points that I've invested into the huge Path of Exile-esque chart of every single thing I can spec into, I should be a god. By that point, I should be able to just grand slam anything I come across, even these like mythological terrifying creatures or extreme wild bosses. I should be able to take everything out in one hit because I earned that.
He's out of line, but he's right.
I made that over 200 hours. So I think that probably feeds into what is sometimes my take. But I think there's also something to be said aside from combat with morality systems. Now, I don't just mean morality systems like the heavy moments in like a Dragon Age or something where you're making a huge decision that's going to change how different systems in the games work, how factions will see you, whether companions are going to turn on you, maybe abandon you. We're talking about Baldur's Gate 3, everything like that, where there is weight to your decisions. It's that, and also games that have minute morality changes. So there I'm talking about like Red Dead, and I came up with this idea before I was playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but you probably have gathered, if not through your own experience, but everyone not shutting up about this game, there's a reputation system, not just for the world, for every single discrete area. So when you do things, when you do crappy things, and not just like being an out and out dick or killing people or whatever. When you do anything out of line, there was a guy in Kingdom Come Deliverance who was like in the stocks. And I was like, how are you going? Like he was in the little head thing. And he was like, oh, you know, like this sucks, but it's worse because someone put a fish in my pants. And I'm like, I got you, bro. I'll get that fish out of your pants. So I use like, you only have like the pickpocket option. So I use that to go through his pants. But then it was like, that's a crime. And I'm like, I'm trying to help. But the game's like, too bad. And you can't traditionally like just save scum in that game. So then the whole town hates me because I'm trying to fix this guy's pants issue, which I guess was just a little quirk in the dialogue. Anyway, that happens. Your rep goes down. And when your rep is low in that game, people are mean. So mean. when your rep is up there like, hey, my friend, hey, good lord, whatever it is. And then when your rep is down, they're like, what, you piece of shit? What could you possibly want? Don't talk to me. It like takes you right back to however the most unpopular you've ever been in your life is. It sucks. It's really painful. And this is a point I've already made, but Shadows AI, Alien Isolation AI. Is smarter AI more impressive? Is it more satisfying to defeat intelligent AI? Of course it is. It's absolutely more interesting and better if what you're looking for in video games is the challenge in the different mechanics and systems that are offered to you in the game. Indiana Jones works so well in dropping the realism stuff because Indiana Jones drops the realism stuff. That game is about being larger than life. It's about being like crazy. The things that happen in that game make no sense. It's just like there's so many plot holes and things to jump between. And wait a minute, if we weren't collecting all of the special hard to find artifacts, would the dude have just not got them like in the first place? He would not have come across them and nothing would have been an issue. Of course, but that's not how movies work. That's not how Indiana Jones work. That's not how action heroes work. There is the series of events, and then there's the big peak conflict moment where it feels like everything's gone awry and you're about to lose everything, and that's what creates a satisfying resolution. It's about the larger than life zonking his way out of a flooded tomb where it seems like he's all done for, or, you know, just like whip flying his way out of any situation that seems like he probably should have died. That's the thrill of it. That's the joy of it. And if it was realistic, none of that would happen. So I think it creates a different feeling. It creates a different way of engaging with games when it's probably enjoyable to have a half of one, some of the other, but it's fun to just not worry too much about, well, this isn't how it would have happened. This isn't realistic, because that's why it's a video game. That's why you're not like out in the world doing these things, because it's supposed to be a power fantasy. It's supposed to be, you know, if you're full of camo, this would happen in a movie and would never happen in a realistic game. If you're covered in camo in Starfield, you should be able to crouch down and just like take stuff, because that's what would happen in like a fun action sci-fi cyberpunk movie. And that's sort of what it's trying to feed, that vibe, that joy, the cheekiness of that. It's also very freeing, and I had this realization largely in playing Starfield, when I feel like I can engage however and get away with it. You're given a choice at one point to side with this government agency who, apart from being like space government, is supposed to be the good guys, and then there's this bad guy like rebel faction who are criminals. They're 100% criminals who do stealing and some murdering, but they are more fun, and you have to support one or the other. You're put underground with both factions, so you're supposed to be infiltrating them for a long time, but ultimately at the end you have to choose which one to side with. The criminals are way more fun. I like the people there, I like their base, I like that they buy my stolen goods, so I sided with them. Everyone was really mad with me about it. Every single one of my companions was like, seriously? Really? Them? And I'm like, yeah, whatever, because I didn't get a huge ding with any particular faction or people. I didn't like have anyone leave my group. Ultimately, I believe this to be true but I was going to say only played 160 hours. I've played 160 hours, but I feel like I'm not that far in. Anyway, I think it's being clear. There's also no great repercussions. There's no great repercussions for anything you do. If you decide to do something like that, even though that feels like a really big move, it's not like then the government side hates you and you can never like shop there or go to their planets or be in their the orbits of like the galaxies and planets that are under the umbrella of their faction. Yeah, that's less realistic, obviously, if you turned against this certain galactic force to side with a bunch of criminals like who are known to cause havoc across pretty much the entirety of the space area that Starfield covers. There would be repercussions, but repercussions would not make a fun game. Repercussions where it's like now you can't fly into areas of space they control, which I think is about half, that wouldn't work. But then it's like, okay, well, you shouldn't. An argument could be made that it's like, okay, well then you shouldn't offer the option if there's not going to be consequences. But I think it's still fun to give you the option. There's a little bit of like pushback, like there's pushback from the people around you. And obviously when you've just screwed over one side, they're pretty mad at you. But I think it's fun to be able to do stuff like that and just like take swings and make moves and not think about what is the nicest thing to do here. I think that's something that occurred to me a lot playing Knights of the Old Republic. As an example, I just give people money. If they want money, I'm like, I'll give them money because I'll probably get good guy points. It's something I've been doing in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, where when I was trying to get my rep back, instead of haggling, I'd press haggle and then I give them more money. So then I get 2 rep points. I'm not doing that because I actually want to, or that it like feels like my character. It's because I dinged my rep by trying to get the fish out of some guy's pants, which apparently was uncool. And now I have to get it back by doing silly things like tipping in 15th century Bohemia, which might make me a hero, but it's not the most fun thing. But in Kingdom Come Deliverance, at least as much as I played, like 70 hours, I've made no progress on the main quest. I'm sure that comes as a surprise. Is reputation loss is never a good thing. It makes it hard to go about the place. People are more suspicious of you. Whenever you try and do a charisma speech check, you're less likely to succeed. It's all bad. So you really discourage from doing anything that might ding your reputation. And that's a shame in, for example, like this conversation, because it was way funnier to say the quill thing. And it was funny to watch play out too, but ultimately all I came away with was a reputation ding. He told me I was being a smartass, gave me just like a weapon, and then went ahead like the same as if I just answered him properly. I think there's absolutely room for both, which is why I wanted to do both these videos. Initially, I thought about this idea when I was playing Starfield, because I just crouching down, becoming invisible, picking something off a table that someone is standing behind, staring right at you, and then standing up and it's like nothing happened, is joy. That to me is just sheer joy. And I think that's why initially I wanted to talk about why I think realism can be really crap. But I've also spent 70 hours in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 now, and have absolutely embraced the idea that realism can be really fun as well. And I think you could probably assign a lot of different games you played, especially if they're these big mechanic feature heavy ones, to have elements that fall into things that are more realistic, challenging, whatever you want to call it. And then ones that abandon that in favor of just being more enjoyable or fun or entertaining, or just letting you have those classic moments of, I just want to, as I said in the other video, if it made it in, sorry, Dan's had to watch 50 minutes of these videos today. In the other one, I was talking about sometimes you do and just want to play Mafia 3 and be around a corner and just whistle for the 6 guys in the room to come out one by one so you can put them in the death pit. Sometimes it's nice when everyone, Assassin's Creed 2, I believe it was, where you would just parry, and everyone would just wait their turn to come attack you, which is stark contrast to, for example, Deliverance. But I think there's always going to be a time and place and joy, and for those games that do the opposite. It reminds me of zombie apocalypse movies or games where they just say, don't worry about how it happened. There's been so many examples of zombie apocalypses now. It's the zombie apocalypse. We don't need to run through where is it in the world? Where did it come from? It's been done, and it's been done really well. But games that are like, let's just start. It's like new Assassin's Creed games, the RPGs. They're like, don't worry about Abstergo. Just don't worry about it. We're just gonna get into it. We're gonna get into the fun stuff, the stuff that we know you want to see, and that's what you're gonna get. And I think that's any game that just encourages your ratbaggery, Saints Row games, stuff like that. GTA is a great example. They would be far less enjoyable if they were more realistic. And that's why realism in games sucks. Take that last episode, Jessica. Anyway, let me know what you think. Give me that little sparkle star in the comments if you want to tell me that you got this far in the video, unless it was included that I said it earlier, because that just means you watched it. But I appreciate you watching it anyway. So thank you so much for joining me again. I'm just saying that sometimes I can have completely conflicting opinions that are both true, and so can you. So let's keep doing that. Let me know what you think about this one, and I'm really keen to, future Jessica will know because she'll have read it, but to see the things you said about last video, because I'm shooting both of these at the same time, which is why I'm wearing the same color shirt, which is a wild, aggressive neon pink. Please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.